Hi, I'm David and welcome to LeisureBit, and today we're going to be fitting this table in our Elddis CV20 campervan to make better use of the space in the front. And the driver's seat rotates, so does the passenger seat. The passenger seat comes right round, which is super helpful. The driver's seat goes partially round, and I wanted a solution to make the area a bit more practical. So thanks to Bob Earnshaw, I watched one of his videos on fitting a table in his motorhome. You can get them in different sizes. This is a 40cm one, and this cost me £36 something with the postage. There's also the leg and the brackets which hold it in place, and I will pop links in the description as to where I got both the tabletop and the leg and brackets. And that came in about £96 with the postage. So all in all, it was just under £140. Find out as we go through whether it was a good investment. Just the usual disclaimer, before fitting anything to your vehicle, make sure you've got the right tools and equipment to do it safely, and also check to see what impact it may have on your warranty or anything like that. Enough said. Anyway, let's get on with fitting the table, and I'll catch you at the end to let you know how we got on. Today we're going to be fitting a tabletop a la this, which is a 40cm one. For use in the front, we're going to use these couple of brackets here, which have got an adjustment here so you can lock them in place. One fits to the tabletop, the other one fits to the bracket against the wall. I'm going to fit it along here just behind the driver's seat. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fit this bracket onto the tabletop, and we're just going to mount it against the corner here. It's a round table, so it doesn't matter too much around exactly where we put it for obvious reasons. If it's a square one, obviously you need to line it up. Well, you have to line it up on this one really. So we're just going to unscrew the handle from here and take that off, and then we can lift that piece off, and then we end up with the bracket, which we're going to fit just on here, just slightly back from the edge, just to give us a little bit of clearance. The reason I'm mounting it here and not in the centre is when we attach the leg, what we want to do is be able to get it out as far as possible, so that allows us to fix it out this far and then come across from here. Let's get some screws popped in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill a pilot hole in here, so we'll get that lined up, and then just being careful of course not to go through. There we go. So you can see there we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pilot holes which we can screw the screws in and mount the bracket. So I've got this set of screws which are stainless steel ones because I don't want anything rusting. So let's pick a couple of appropriate screws from there. So there we go, look, no screws peeping through. So biggest thing to check is you've got the thickness of your tabletop, but you want enough to get in, but you probably want to be coming about 1/2 to 3/4 of the way through the wood, just so it gets a nice solid fit like that. And I just slightly angled those two there just so I can go in a little bit deeper, because you get a little bit more throughput. So about 3/4 long there, the others are about 1/2. But that's nice and solidly mounted on there now, and the pilot hole really helps you get that started off. So that's the tabletop done. Let's pop this back in now, slide back in there like that, and then we can bob the tightening handle back on. we go. That roughly tight. What's clever on these is you can press it and use it like a little ratchet. So that positioning should work well, and we just mount it just on the edge of the cupboard wall there. So next step is to mount the bracket. So I've removed this bracket which is used to store the table just to give us some space, and then the next thing we want to do is mount the bracket down here. Just gonna, you can see where I removed the screws there. We just want to make sure it's clear there, because when we screw in, we'll put some reasonably long screws in, and then that should hold the table in place nicely for us. Anyway, let's get on with that now. It's important to make sure it's flat, and we want a little bit of clearance just off the floor there. So what I'm using is, I've just used a couple of strips of metal I had, but you could use a bit of wood, and just use the bracket as well. And again, just make sure it's level. We'll get a couple of screws in, then we'll tighten it up after that and remove the bits at the bottom. Just before we tighten up the other screws, you can see there, we've got those in, and I've moved those out the way. Just make sure it's still level. That's that mounted with a little bit of a gap at the bottom. Just pop the handle in now. So what we can do as well is, if we ever want to store something behind there, we don't need to worry about the space, because it's only a centimetre or so protruding, so we can just take the handle off. So if we don't want to use the table and we want a bit more space there, we can do that. Pop the cover back on now. And there we are, one table fitted. So we use that to work on, have a cup of coffee, or whatever we want to do. And it also makes the driver's seat a bit more practical then, because we can spin that round and use that as well with the table. So as you can see then, that gives a practical working space that we can use the driver's seat for, which is much better, isn't it? And we can pop stuff on here. If we want to move it back a bit, we can simply do that, and then just lock it in position. And then we've got a nice working area. It's out the way of the door as well, which helps. And there we go. That's the table fitted. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to reduce the leg length very slightly. Just going to knock a couple of centimetres off to allow it to go down a little bit lower, because it hits the floor here when it goes. But I think that works quite well. Relatively solid as well. So gives you somewhere to work on, have a cup of coffee or whatever. We will give it a go and report back and let you know how we get on with it. As you can see there, we can just turn it around, lock it in place, and it stores nicely behind the driver's seat. What I've done as well is I've just attached the brackets that originally held the table up just down here. You look there, and it just keeps that nice and snug there, and then it'll just lift out as required. And when the seat moves back, there's nothing blocking in the way there. It gives a little bit more use for the driver's seat. We can spin the passengers one back around there if we want to, but it just gives that other option for something we weren't actually using. Also works well for the passenger side as well. Nice positioning there. So it just fits nicely the computer. So that then allows you to work either from the passenger chair or from the driver's chair. Spot on. That's the table installed in the Elddis CV20 behind the driver's seat, so that we can have a useful little area there. Right, so I'm back to let you know how I got on. So I spent a couple of hours just sorting some videos out over the weekend, and it was really comfortable. What I also liked was Rachel could chill out in the back of the van while I got on with some stuff in the front of the van, and it gave a nice bit of separation so you weren't encroaching on each other's space there. It's also great for a snack as well, if you want to have a snack, and it just fits kind of a laptop or an iPad just nicely there. And this is the 40cm one again, so it's just been a nice size for that. So all in all, it gets a big thumbs up for me, and I just don't know why I didn't do this sooner, because it has been a game changer
from my perspective. Let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it useful, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye!